The year is 2024. PBS Plus has just launched, bringing the world's streaming services to 4,387. How can anyone be expected to go through all this content? Fear not, loyal passengers. Captain JoeMeZ and his first mate Mez are here to travel through space and time to bring you the best nuggets pop culture has to offer. Strap in, folks. It's time for the JoeMeZ podcast.
Everyone, and welcome to episode 393 of the JoeMeZ podcast. I'm Mez, and my co-host, as always, is
the magistrate of Caravan City. I am Captain Joe Shoes from the JoeMeZ podcast.
Yeah, you are, buddy. What's up? How you doing?
Just like the professor in Frosty the Snowman, Gomez, I am busy.
That damn magician, bro. Oh, he's up to no good. Are you up to no good, Joe?
Always. Because we got a lot of content this week. This may be one of the most loaded JoeMeZ podcast episodes ever. The amount of stuff that is out there being watched that people are talking about, in addition to our March Madness sports movie bracket.
Yeah.
We're getting through the second round today of the remaining three regions. There is a ton on the table to speak about today, Gomez.
Yes, there is, baby. I'm excited.
You're excited. Feel these nipples. Thank you guys for listening to the JoeMeZ podcast. Remember to subscribe to this podcast. Leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, youtube.com/@JoeMeZpod. A subscription and a like go a long way over there. Thank you guys for teaming up, helping us hit 100 subscribers on YouTube. Hopefully it's the first 100 of many thousands, millions even. Maybe we can Mr. Beast this up. I assume we got to be close by now. So do all that. There. Follow us on all the social media @JoeMeZ. And Gomez, let's not waste any more time. Let's hit the breaking news music.
Oh, baby. Breaking news. All right, Joe, what's breaking this week? I'm excited.
Oh, stuff is breaking, Gomez, and it starts at Nickelodeon.
Oh, what the fuck?
So this 4-part documentary series came out last week, and they did 2 episodes. They broke it up, and it's like the dark side of Nickelodeon children's TV in the 90s. It's called Quiet on Set, and it deals with like some of the things the child stars of the time were dealing with, or maybe having abusive relationships with bosses or people in charge, adult figures who worked for Nickelodeon. And I've watched all four parts. You can watch these now if you haven't already. They are on HBO Max streaming. The first episode, you're like, oh, this is kind of, not good, whatever. And then by the second episode, you're like, okay, this is really creepy. By the third episode, you're like, Jesus Christ. Like, how did no one know and stop this? Because what happens in these things, we get people who were cast members on The Amanda Show and all that, and all these big kids shows of the 90s. And you got to remember, put yourself back in that time. These were like legit child stars. Nickelodeon Kids TV was a huge thing. And I think I was probably a little bit aged out by them, but I still like knew that these shows existed. And I've had the thought, I'm sure many kids have the thought, whenever you see other kids on TV, I talked about this when we watched the Mighty Ducks a couple weeks ago. Like, I'd be like, oh man, imagine how cool that must be to be in this. Imagine how cool that must be to be, in this movie and playing hockey, whatever. Same thing with Amanda. You telling me I could do sketch comedy at 14 years old? I would have loved that.
Loved it.
And then we get stories about the guy, Dan Schneider, who I remember from Head of the Class back when that was a sitcom on TV when I was a young kid, because I'm old enough for that. but he
Yeah, you
becomes
are.
like one of the top dudes at Nickelodeon, and he's creating all these shows like All That and like Amanda Show. And he's kind of really, really creepy. And he's a verbally abusive boss. And they have people who were writers for him and how he treated them. And he's just seems like an all-around piece of shit. By episode 3, they bring in Drake Bell from Drake and Josh.
Yeah, okay.
And he starts telling stories of not just being verbally abused. He starts telling stories about being sexually abused.
Ooh, Jesus.
By one of the PAs or assistants on set, this guy Brian Peck, who ends up having to do some jail time for these acts once the story comes out. But yet at the end of it, this guy not only gets out of jail and gets his life back, he starts working in TV again. How on earth? Like, this is the kind of shit that makes you fucking furious. The way this documentary is done, it tells a very, very good story and lays it out for you kind of piece by piece. And now we peel back the next layer and the next layer. And you just feel it rising inside you. Your blood is fucking boiling. And it gets to this point, and JoeMeZ, I don't know if you've watched it or not, but I'm sure at the very least you've heard about this series, Quiet on Set. I just can't for the life of me wrap my head around so much of this being like accepted.
That's always whenever we hear these stories.
Whenever we hear, I know.
Like, how the fuck did that go on? How was that allowed to happen? It's always the question. How did this happen? And it just happens time and time again. I have not watched this series. It's a rough subject matter to sit down and I'm a long day. I'm not trying to watch the show about all these Nickelodeon kids getting their life ruined because of some piece of shit.
Yeah.
I just hear about it from you and go, this is fucking makes me angry enough to have to sit there and watch it. But 4 episodes on Max, I might see it eventually, but it sounds rough there, Joe.
And the overriding theme seems to be fear. You don't want to speak up. If you're a kid, you fear losing your job. You don't want to be kicked off the show. If you're a parent and maybe like you don't have definitive proof or you don't have definitive information, but you have suspicion. Well, you don't want to start waving a flag and then be wrong and then cost your kid their job, because obviously there's going to be some sort of retaliation there, or you're going to be labeled as tough to deal with or not worth it. And for a lot of these families, because it's not just the kid, when you're a child actor, it's your parents or your guardian or whoever is shuttling you back and forth. They become almost the breadwinner for the family. They're on these shows, the parents, their job basically becomes to drive you back and forth, make sure you're on set, make sure you're getting your homework done for your classes in between, or make sure you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and dedicating your allotted time to this. And on top of that, so fear is that overriding factor. And I can understand that. I can understand that because you get in positions where, like, I played sports my entire life, and thankfully I don't have any bad coach stories. You know what I mean? I never had an over exuberant coach who was calling me a piece of shit or anything like that. But even then, like, I don't know if I would have spoken up in the moment because I didn't want to lose my spot on a team.
Of course
it meant that much to me at the time. But then at the end, we get this abusive guy, Brian Peck, who's raped Drake Bell. And when he goes to trial, and we saw this happen in the Danny Masterson case a little while ago. Remember the Danny Masterson case from that 70s show? And he had some letters of character written for him, most notably by Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis. Well, Brian Peck here gets some letters himself.
Oh, who's fucking vouching for this piece of shit here? Here we go.
You ready for this? We get Alan Thicke and Joanna Kearns, who played the parents on Growing Pains, because Brian Peck had been involved with Growing Pains at one point. And then we get Ryder Strong and Will Friedle from Boy Meets World. And some guy who we're not going to be nice to on this show anymore, Mr. James Marsden, also wrote a character letter on behalf of Brian Peck here.
Cyclops, no, what are we doing? No.
That one, we just spent weeks talking about how much we like this guy.
He's the best. Oh no.
apparently this news must have leaked. I guess these letters were supposed to stay sealed.
It's confidential usually, yeah.
And then there was a petition put into the court to unseal them, I guess for the purposes of making this documentary. Ryder Strong and Will Friedle must have gotten a heads up like, hey, this is going to come out. So I believe in the middle of February, there is a Pod Meets World episode, the podcast that those two do with Danielle Fishel, who played Topanga, and they go over the Boy Meets World stuff. They all of a sudden break into telling these stories, and I don't listen to the show. I got very sick of the show very quickly and unsubscribed. But it seems to have come out of nowhere, but they decide to address it then, almost like they got clued up and someone said, get ahead of this, while you can. Yeah. And it's, we didn't have all the information. We didn't know. Let me tell you something. I am not writing a letter for fucking anyone. I don't care if it's Gomez has been my friend for over 20 years. I am not writing a letter on behalf of Gomez before I have all the facts of what I'm writing about and what happened. Because just because I know Gomez, and I think I know Gomez pretty well, that doesn't mean he's not capable of doing something fucked up. As we see, sometimes your best friends are the most capable of doing some fucked up things that you never thought imaginable. And I will never put myself in that situation where I'm going to come off looking like a piece of shit because somebody in my circle or not convinced me to write a letter on their behalf. And at that point, I'm sure Will Friedle was probably in his mid-20s since he was the older brother on the show anyway. Obviously, Alan Thicke and Joanna Kearns were full-fledged adults at that point.
Yeah.
What the fuck are we doing, people?
I never saw nothing like that. What? No, him? Never. That can't be true. Shut up. Ridiculous, these people. So it's only 4 episodes. There's no more. That's it. That's the end of it.
Four episodes, and they kind of close up the story.
They wrap it up.
Get a lot of Drake Bell in the final 2 because they actually do get him to come down and sit for an interview. And there are people obviously who are like, "Oh, look, a bunch of unemployed actors now just trying to get their shit in to stay relevant." Listen, you can't just put this shit on TV without it being true.
But stay relevant. Oh yeah, that's what I want. I want to be relevant as the guy who was raped on the kid show. Real, whoo boy, I can't. What are we doing there? It's so silly.
And what happened was this guy, this Brian Peck guy, I guess Drake Bell's dad was onto him and was like, "Oh, there's something about this guy I don't trust." So he made it a point to always be in the room or be around or not let him stay alone with this guy. And Brian Peck convinces a young Drake Bell, your dad's ruining shit for you. You got to cut off ties with your dad. And his parents were divorced at the time. His dad was the one taking him back and forth to everything, basically convinces him to fire his dad as his manager, do everything with his mom. And then his mom's like, "Oh, this guy's so nice. Yeah, take him to Disneyland." They go to Disneyland together. You got this 40-year-old man taking your kid to Disneyland. He's staying over at his house, and all of a sudden he wakes up one day and the guy's on top of him. The fuck? Jesus. It's worth a watch just because sometimes we need a reminder of the evil that is in this world. And I don't want to start the show on a downer like that, but this is the real world. This shit exists.
It's there.
We can't be Pollyanna-ish about everything. Sometimes it is the people close to you, the people you trust that fuck you over. And Gomez, we're seeing that again in another story, but this time in the sports world with my double main man, Shohei Ohtani.
Bro, this shit is wild, bro. This is insanity, this story, bro.
So as we record this, it's Monday early evening, and Ohtani has just finished his press conference where he goes over the details of this because we got a lot of mixed messaging at the beginning of when this story broke. The Dodgers were over in South Korea playing the opening series of the season, and this news breaks basically right after quote-unquote opening day that his interpreter and seemingly best friend, because they do everything together, Ippei, everyone knows him as Ippei, and he's just always around. He's Ohtani's trusted advisor, his interpreter. He's always with Ohtani. And apparently he's gotten himself into some really bad gambling debt. And originally, the story was that Ohtani found out about this and paid off the debt himself. But because number one, gambling is illegal in California.
Legal. Yes.
And number two, this is like not DraftKings. This is a bookie.
Yes, a bookie.
So now it's like doubly illegal from if you're Ohtani. And then Ohtani's camp quickly pivoted to no, Ipe stole the money to pay his debts in the amount of $4.5 million.
Woo, it's a lot of money to steal, bro.
And this is why I say I'll never trust Gomez, because $4.5 million is a lot of fucking money.
It's a lot of money to steal, bro.
How
a lot
much?
Of gambling. How does he get that much line of credit? This guy, come on.
That's the thing. I guess just because of his closeness to
connected?
Ohtani, like that has to be the thing. Is like,
it?
hey, like if anything happens, I'll have Ohtani pay the bill. Like,
I guess. I mean, that's
so
great.
Ohtani just finished his press conference. Now we've been going back and forth for like a week. Like, what is the real story here? Did Ohtani find out and just want to help his friend, which is something I can empathize with?
Sure.
Like, the guy didn't hurt no one.
No.
He's not a PA on a Nickelodeon set.
No.
He gambled. He gambled way too much. But I can empathize with Ohtani wanting to bail out his friend.
Sure.
I can get that. It's still illegal, but I can get that. Now, did Ohtani know or did he not know? Was the money stolen? Because now is Ipe just a real piece of shit that not only did he get himself into this trouble, but now he's got to rob from his best friend to fucking.
Yeah.
So the story that Ohtani gave today is, in conclusion, Ipe stole from me, and it breaks my heart that someone who I considered a very close friend would do this to me. So that's the line they're drawing.
Okay,
that's the line they're drawing.
Okay.
So now,
right.
In one case, Ipe is effed up the A without the KY.
Oh yeah.
On the other hand, now he's got to come out swinging.
Yeah.
If the story is something different, he's got to come out swinging, drop names, drop dates, drop whatever evidence he has. We could be facing one of the biggest gambling crises in all of sports right now, with the preeminent player in Major League Baseball being involved in this. And I don't want to say it was inevitable for baseball. It was inevitable for any sport with the way these DraftKings and these other websites that are allowed to advertise and be part of the game, they want to put them in the ballparks in a lot of situations where you can do live gambling right there as a way to milk even more money out of the fans.
The NBA just announced they're gonna have live in-game betting through the app. Like when you're watching your whatever the fuck that thing's called, their League Pass, when you watch one of their games, fucking adjusted lines are gonna pop up on the screen so that you could bet through the app and bet live betting as the game's happening. How do you not expect scandals to have? Like, it is insane how they're pushing it.
We had a thing with, I don't know if you're paying attention to this. There's a player on the Ottawa Senators in the NHL, Shane Pinto, who was pinched before the season started because he was someone else was using his DraftKings account or a DraftKings account in his name. That's the conclusion they came to, was his friend had his password and he was just using the account. But it violated the term. Now, a DraftKings account you can sign up for it in 5 minutes.
Yes, it's no
big deal. You could be sitting on your couch in the offseason, if you're a pro player, sitting on your couch, watching a college game, watching anything, and decide, you know what? I'm going to put a couple bucks on this and give myself some action. It's not hard. You can't just say, oh, we want this to be such a big part of our game, and then decide you're going to drop a hammer when something like this goes on.
Super Bowl was in Vegas. NFL employees were not allowed to gamble in Vegas. Just like they're not allowed to be seen at the tables in the sports book. Bro, it's Vegas. It's legal. Like, what are we doing? How is it on our fucking field, but I can't sit at a blackjack table? What the fuck are we doing here?
Like I said, I empathize with Ohtani wanting to help his friend. From the league's perspective, this was inevitable from any league. Like, we knew Rob Manfred, the commissioner of Major League Baseball, wanted to install the pitch clock and speed up the games. Adam Silver from the NBA told him he was a moron because that's all time that people could still be gambling and putting money into the league's pockets.
It's insane. The gambling is so insane. To go from us, right? We're degenerates. We hung out with degenerates who call it in, bets on the phone and shit. And just to see the evolution from that, from watching just poker get popular, right?
Yeah.
Just to see everything, how gambling has just in 15 years just taken over. And it is everywhere. Kids are going to be crippled. Like little 12-year-olds going to be playing parlays for all their lives, trying to. It's going to be crazy.
It used to be like almost something special. Like if your dad or like an adult, an uncle, or even when you got old enough yourself, maybe you had someone at work who would get you the little sheets and you would turn them in on a Friday.
5 for 5 this week, boys.
Yeah, I went 5 for 5 this week. But like when this is. You do it from your phone. There's apps on this. You could be sitting at work, bored, on your lunch break, whatever. All of a sudden, you're a couple $100 in the hole.
100%, bro. And some of the apps have live casino betting, like the Jersey FanDuel. Like you could play little table games through the. It's gonna be something. Next couple of years, it's gonna be crazy to see.
So I don't have an answer for this. I mean, we started the conversation. Usually I have a point of view. My point of view is, what did you think was going to happen? Now, obviously, it's a bigger story because it's Ohtani, right?
Sure.
But if it was the backup third baseman on the Kansas City Royals, it would still be the same issue. And but this, like you said, this is what we were waiting for.
Yeah.
This is what
there's been a couple.
There's been a couple, but it at some point it was going to be a star. They're no different. They're regular people. They're just people with fuck you money. $4 million to Ohtani. When you I get it. People are like, oh, how did he not notice $4.5 million were missing? Because he made just last year, he made 65.
Because he took a contract where he's deferring money because he don't need money. He don't need the money, bro.
In sponsorships alone last year, Ohtani made $65 million. $65 million. $4 million to him when he's got 61 other ones sitting in an account somewhere is the equivalent of me dropping $12 at Dairy Queen for a flamethrower cheeseburger on my way home from work.
When you sign a $600-700 million contract, $4 million, it's not really that much.
Let's talk about something that might not be even happier than the Ohtani. Well, obviously, there's going to be more Ohtani as we go and as the story unfolds and the investigation proceeds. But Netflix announced that their deal with the Sandman is ongoing and will include Happy Gilmore Part 2. JoeMeZ, is this something we fucking need?
Of course not. We definitely don't need it, especially when Carl Weathers has recently passed away. Is even more like, oh, come on. This is just, I don't know. Listen, I don't bash it. It could be the best thing. Who knows? But just sitting here, the way Adam Sandler movies have been lately, just, I don't know. He can't recapture that magic. That's lightning in a bottle for his time. I don't know.
I'm not a fan of it either, but I'm not one of these people who is going to have their childhood ruined by you redoing a movie and having it suck. Like when we bring up the Karate Kid with Jaden Smith and Jackie Chan. Yeah. It's not ruining my memories of loving the original Karate Kid movie and what it meant to me as a child. But I just don't see a world where we're just simply playing off the nostalgia here, right? There's nothing else here except, you know what people like? Exactly what they liked 35 years ago. Let's just give them more of that.
Yes, if he wanted to, he would have made this sequel years ago. If he had 100%. An idea that really was like, oh, I got to do this. He could do anything he wants. Adam Sandler don't get trouble making a movie. If he wants to make a movie,
he writes his own ticket.
It gets made. They're like, here you go. How much money, sir? So he could have did this years ago. So, I mean, maybe there's something. Maybe Carl Weathers passing is maybe, he's got an idea to do something with Chuck. Who knows? But
there was a rumored cast list out there this week that included Tiger Woods as Chubbs Jr.
Imagine Tiger Woods. Come on, bro. Tiger Woods is not that guy. He is not.
No, he's
make
not
fun
funny.
of myself. Make fun of myself. Have fun. He is always serious. Like every time he cracks a smile, it's like, oh my god, I saw Tiger Woods. Like, come on, to be Chubbs Jr. Get out of here. fake casting.
And we'll have some more rants about
Sure.
nostalgia coming up later on in the show.
Mm.
But let's talk about good nostalgia right now, Gomez.
Ooh, let's do that.
After the original announcement about 2 years ago or so, we got our first 2 episodes on the Disney Plus of X-Men 97.
Oh, baby, finally. They announced this so long ago, and it's just like push back, push back, push back. To I forgot it was coming out this month. I kept forgetting because I'm like, look, when it comes out, it comes out, you know.
Then we also wondered, with all the cuts that Disney was doing because of all
Yes.
the original content for the app, we're wondering if maybe this was going to face the axe at some point.
It's true. 100%. They could have.
By the time this episode comes out, the 3rd episode will have already dropped. They're coming out on Wednesdays. There's going to be 11 episodes in total. We've watched the first 2, Gomez, right? You've watched these?
Yes, sir. Of course. Hell
How
yeah.
do you feel about it?
It's good. I thought it was good. Like, it was actually a good episode. Like, it's because, the X-Men original cartoon, there's a lot of, it's good, but there's a lot of, all right, what are we doing here? This, I thought it was well thought out. Well, like, they put effort into it. Those 90s cartoons, right? It feels like they just kind of pumped them out. They didn't really care. They were like, all right, let's take our time. And
this I'm going to disagree with you on, because I
Really?
think, especially earlier in the series, I think they really went in with a plan of attack on how to handle the X-Men. And while watching it back, you're going to have your critiques, but I think especially for the time and what children's entertainment was at that time, we talk all the time about even cartoons even older, where they just don't think children have the ability to comprehend things, so they just throw them anything on a screen in to try to sell them toys. And I think 92, when this X-Men show started, we also got the introduction of Batman the Animated Series. Children's entertainment started to change a little there. And while Batman may be the stronger show overall, I don't think X-Men is like a catastrophe, even watching it back now, by any means.
The latest season still hold up? Because I know they started getting a little wacky.
The last season is
half.
not great because it was meant to end after 4 seasons, and they kind of got pushed to do a 5th season, and by then they had to change animation houses. The animation looks significantly cheaper. It doesn't seem like they kept all the voices on. There's just a lot of moving parts there, and the 5th season really is kind of But as promised, this new show, X-Men 97, picks up where it left off. So at the end of the original series, Gyrick, the villain of all villains, injures Professor X, and the X-Men have to basically go to Magneto for help. And Magneto, who is planning this big mutant takeover, actually puts it on hold and has to summon Lilandra to come here and get Professor X out of here and hope they can heal him. And the big question that it leaves you with is Magneto going to be a changed man now? Because the X-Men still have this hope that they can make the world a better place. Before Xavier is taken away, he gives everyone some kind words and says, don't lose hope. We can still work together with the humans and all that. So you're wondering, is Magneto going to be able to, is this going to have enough of an impact on him to get him to change his ways? And that's kind of where this series brings us into. And I agree with you. I think these first 2 episodes were really enjoyable. They do a nice job of integrating the callbacks and the references and the nostalgia with keeping the story moving forward, so it doesn't become nostalgia focused.
No.
Where it's blinding you from other things. So through 2 episodes, I'm 100% on board. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, you like the animation? Everyone looks a little different, a little more comic accurate. Like they like even their faces, like this, everything's just a little different, little tweaks that I think really works, really makes it look nice.
I think it's a little different, but it's not a drastic departure either. It's not that 2024 style of animation. Like, we're still trying to keep it appropriately close enough to the 92 X-Men series style animation. So it's not this huge departure from there. So if you are an original series fan, you're not watching this going, it's that fucking anime bullshit now.
It looks good, baby. I'm Excited. Can't wait. Joe, that wasn't the only thing that dropped this week. Boy, they dropped a doozy for us on Amazon Prime, Joe.
Yeah, they did. And it's so weird to me that this came out on Amazon Prime until I read the story where Amazon, listen to this. I don't know if you know this.
Let me hear.
The heads of Amazon came to these filmmakers and said, we'll give you two choices. Choice number one, you get a $60 million budget and it goes to theatrical release. Or choice number two, you get an $85 million budget and it goes to streaming. The producers decided to take the $85 million, which makes a lot of sense to me. I would take the bigger budget too. I just don't see where you make up that extra $25 million by having it go to streaming.
I don't get it. Yeah, I don't get it. You sell a couple more ads. I don't get what happens, but this is what we talk about. It's not our money, so whatever, but it just don't make sense how that it should have been the other way around.
Exactly. You would think the bigger budget would be like, hey, we'll give you this, but it's got to go to theaters.
Yeah, like we gotta no. I don't understand. And then I hear though afterwards, I hear the director was kind of complaining that it was on Amazon. Like he kind of didn't like that it was on Amazon. But what are we doing here?
Like either you signed up for.
Like what are we doing?
So obviously we're talking about this new movie starring Jake Gyllenhaal over on Amazon Prime, Roadhouse. Loosely based on the 1989 movie with Patrick Swayze, also titled Roadhouse.
Yes, sir. Yes, it's one of these where it's just the idea of it. The idea of what Roadhouse is, being a bouncer at a crazy bar, pretty much. That's all you get.
I wouldn't call it a reboot or a remake. I would call it inspired by.
Reimagining, I think, is how they would like say something like that.
Reimagining of the original Roadhouse in 1989. Were you a Roadhouse guy? Were you a Swayze guy?
I like Roadhouse. I like Swayze. Like, it's good. I'm not one of these like, people love fucking Roadhouse. Like, oh my goodness. I was never like that. Like, no, Roadhouse is good. It's on fucking TBS. I'm gonna watch Patrick Swayze beat the shit out of someone. It's fun, like I got no problems with it. The love that it gets, I don't understand it, but I don't understand a lot of nostalgia and fandom.
I'm in the same boat as you. If it's on, I'll watch it. I don't hate it by any means. It's fine.
It's a good time.
It's a perfect movie. Once you've seen it, it's the perfect cable movie where you could put it on and be like, oh shit, it's Roadhouse. And then go like vacuum or something. Keep it on 100%. In the back room as you're washing dishes or you're doing laundry or something. That's the kind of movie Roadhouse is for me. I know people who absolutely love you. They may be their favorite movie. I don't get it.
I don't get it.
And we get this reimagining of Roadhouse with Jake Gyllenhaal, and we get Conor McGregor, who is on so much fucking gas right now. It's amazing that OPEC even has anything else to distribute.
My man came in like the Tasmanian devil, and he even speaking like him, because you don't know what the fuck that boy say. He is stumbling through those words. He is a fucking mess. This is why he hasn't fought in a while, because he's still gassed up like this. And they keep like saying he's going to be back. He's going to be back. But he hasn't gone into the testing pool yet because he's retired. So to get reinstated, you got to test positive, clean for like 6 months. So he's like, I'm coming back. They even did an Ultimate Fighter where he was a coach and it was supposed to lead to a fight, but it never led to a fight because my man is on so much drugs and fucking roids that he ain't pissing clean for a long time, my man.
Conor McGregor it looks like he didn't just take steroids. He took like mutant serum because he looks like one of these fucked up later in the line Ninja Turtle figures where he's like his shoulders and back are so big that he's like hunched over in everything. So he can't even like walk straight. He's got to keep his arms at like, I don't know what degree angle is this? It's almost an 85-degree angle. Like he can't even like put his arms straight down because he's just too big for it. His muscles are too tight and won't allow it.
Yes, and he's a little guy. He's not a big boy. He used to fight at 145, and this man is probably pushing 200 in this fucking movie.
In all honesty, he might even be bigger than
he's
200.
Fucking huge. So think about that. 50 pounds of muscle he put on for
Conor McGregor, and listen, he looks like an action figure that we didn't think was bulky enough, and we just kept putting more like clay on and kept sculpting like different muscles in places. It was like, no, he needs to be Conor McGregor, but bigger. And like you just kept putting that clay on and molding it until you finally got to a point where you're like, all right, I don't think his body can even support another pound of muscle anywhere.
He looks like Bugs Bunny when Bugs Bunny gets all the muscles and he's just two muscles and it's just the head like blows on his finger. So, Joe, one of the main things about this movie, I want to ask you.
I can't wait.
How'd you feel about the CGI in the fighting? Did that
So,
bother you, Joe?
I was going to bring
hear.
this up because apparently they have some new method for filming fight scenes that is invented for this movie, and it's called multipass, right? Is what they're calling it. Multipass.
Yeah. I will say this. I just gotta say this. They're pumping it up like they invented this. They did not. I've seen plenty of Asian movies, Asian action movies where this is what they do. It's a brilliant idea. And I don't know why. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But it's a great technique. But no, they did not invent this at all. I've heard this thing. I've seen this thing where they're talking about it. I've seen articles and I'm like, but this makes no sense because then I see clips where they're showing me movies I've seen 3 years ago where they're using the same technique. Joe, what's the technique? Tell these people what the technique here is.
So, from my understanding, please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong.
Sure.
They use CG body doubles and then stitch them into frames. That way they can edit them in a few frames before and a few frames after during fight scenes to make it look more seamless. So the fighting is supposed to come off more realistic. Like he's really punching someone, but he's really punching a body double and, not doing the Hollywood punches.
Yeah, so that's what it is. So what it is, it's like, I'm going to punch you. So you stand there and I throw a fake punch and we film that. Then you stand there with a pillow by your face and I fucking punch it like for real, like I'm fucking swinging, and we film that. And then we film a shot of the pillow slapping you in the face so that you get a reaction of you getting punched in the face. And now we take all three of those shots to combine to make one shot where my fist is landing because it did land here. And also we have a shot of you reacting to that punch because you did get hit in the face and it's supposed to be seamless together. I will say it's not seamless all the time. There are times in this movie where it really, especially the beginning, I think is one of the worst offenders. The Post Malone fight.
Yes.
It starts with a fight and it starts with this technique and you're watching it and you're going, ooh, something's a little off here. Like this fight looks a little weird. And so to start with that, it's like, it gets better. It's not every fight looks terrible, but there are times where in the middle of an action scene, it kind of looks like the Matrix, brawly fight scene with all the like CGI, like where it looks a little too CGI. So it's a great idea, but I don't think this movie, I think they didn't use their budget, for that. They used it for other things.
Now, I get, there are times where I'm like, oh, that didn't necessarily look right.
Yeah.
But that's not even my biggest complaint with this movie.
I want to hear yours.
Jake Gyllenhaal is in this movie. And he's fine.
Yeah.
It's not like he gives a bad performance or anything like that. And he shows up and he's ripped to shreds as well.
Ripped.
But I'm sorry. You are not convincing me that Jake Gyllenhaal is some badass UFC fucking retired fighter. It's just not
the toughest man who ever lived, bro. People just scared to even fight him.
Not happening.
They wanted that soft but deadly, that quiet.
The problem is, I get it. Okay, he's this real person and he did these things and he's not proud of himself and whatever. But at no point do you watch him and you're like, oh, when he's gonna be there's nothing about his person. He's too soft. He does.
Sure.
There's no edge to him whatsoever. And by the time it's, it comes where he needs to get his comeuppance now and, it's time to turn it up to 11. You're just like, yo, this is like, my man, go do another dancing movie or something. Do something else.
Dancing movie. Oh, overall, what you think of Roadhouse? Would you recommend the passengers check this one out?
I think it's a perfectly fine, stupid little
It's all
action movie for the middle of the day or a rainy day on the weekend or something. It's harmless. You can watch it, and I give it a 2.5 main man.
Little long. I think a little too long. Overstays its welcome, I believe.
201, yeah.
You know, could have maybe trimmed 10, 15 minutes out of there. But I think it's fun enough. I think, listen, if you love Roadhouse and like you watching this because you're like, I love like just don't. Like this is just an action movie that just takes place at
that just happens to take
roadhouse.
place in a roadhouse.
You know, that's it. Like it's just like I said, it's the idea of, hey, we got a crazy ball, we need someone to help straighten it up. That's the end of the similarities. And you know, it's all right. 2 stars.
Listen to this. The IMDb description on this is,
what is this?
Ex-UFC fighter Dalton takes a job as a bouncer at a Florida Keys roadhouse only to discover that paradise is not all it seems. My man, if you look at some of the sets and some of the location shots that they have in this movie, paradise is not the word that comes to mind for this place.
They're not playing up the paradise. They're playing like this is like you don't want to come down here. Like, oh, it's a nice view, but there's a lot of riffraff. And get out of here. Like
paradise would not be the word I use to describe this Florida Keys Roadhouse's town.
Oh man, unreal.
One thing that they did fit in here, there's a bookstore, and Jake Gyllenhaal becomes friends with the people who run the bookstore, but next door to the bookstore is a bar. Oh, actually, it's a restaurant next door to the bookstore called the Double Deuce Restaurant, which was the name of the bar in the original Roadhouse. So they did fit that in. So if you're looking for your Roadhouse Easter egg,
I was wondering. I wanted to look to see. I was like, I wonder if there's references I'm missing because I'm not familiar. Like one of these bands, are they playing like a song that was playing in Roadhouse or something like that?
No, they played Hungry Eyes from Dirty Dancing.
Joe, did you watch anything else? You have any time for anything else? We had a lot of things to watch.
I had time for 3 movies in particular.
Oh, yeah, baby. Yeah, we did. Oh, baby. The sports bracket is heating up. Round 2 is coming to an end. We're going to have our final 4 after this episode. Joe, are you excited?
I'm excited. Yeah, I am excited. I want to see what people end up voting for at the end.
I'm so curious how this is gonna go.
I think more than anything, I'm interested in the way the voting is going.
Yes,
because now all the movies after this week have been watched.
Yes. So now it's just, what are we gonna do? Where are we gonna go? Oh, baby. Wait, which way you want to start? Which region you want to start with here, Joe?
Let's start with hockey.
I was thinking hockey. Yes, very good. All right. Hockey, we had an interesting matchup, right? Because we had even though we say it's not new school anymore, really, but the new school nostalgia of the Mighty Ducks against the old school slap shot. Oh, baby. Tell me a little bit about Slapshot since we haven't watched this one.
So Slapshot is regarded as the hockey movie. If you're going to watch a hockey movie, it's Slapshot. And it comes out in 1977, runs 2 hours and 3 minutes. According to IMDb, it is the story of a failing ice hockey team that finds success with outrageously violent hockey goonery.
Goonery. That's excellent.
IMDb gives this movie a 7.3, Rotten Tomatoes 85% fresh with an audience score of 89%.
People love it.
Had a budget of $6 million, domestically brought in $28 million, which placed it 16th, actually worldwide for 1977, right behind Disney's The Rescuers, and right above Herbie Goes to Monte Carlo.
Monte Carlo, boy, of all the Herbies.
Herbie has a very adventurous spirit.
Herbie gets around that
Herbie's like Charles Barkley and the Dream Team. They just want to go spend some time with Ohtani and Monte Carlo gambling. JoeMeZ, I can imagine that you would think the number 1 movie for 1977 is a layup. Can you guess it?
1977. Is that a Star Wars or is that 78?
It is the Star Wars. Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, which brings in $307.2 million worldwide.
That's a lot.
In 1977 money, that's like $2 billion.
That's insane, bro. But that is true, right? I think Star Wars is one of those, when you do inflation, it's still up there for like all time grossing movies. Especially they re-release it so much. They always love to do that. Pad those numbers.
So this stars Paul Newman as player coach Reggie Dunlop on the minor league hockey team, the Charlestown Chiefs, who are based on another minor league hockey team called the Johnstown Jets, which was a team in Johnstown, Pennsylvania back in the 70s. And they're having some money issues. So as a way to drum up fan interest and get people to back in the arena and buying tickets, they decide to go full on hockey goons, and we're going to fight and we're going to tussle and we're going to do all the stuff that today's hockey fans really don't want to see, because we actually want to see people play hockey.
Yes. Yes, that's the whole point of the movie, right? One guy's like, bro, I'm here to be a hockey player, not for this gooning shit, bro. What are we doing here? Get that shit out of here.
Have you seen this movie in the past, JoeMeZ?
So I want to say I've seen it once because it's a thing to see, but when I do my letterbox, I had not seen it since 2009. So I must have seen it before. So I didn't remember nothing about this movie, to be honest with you.
So I was going through a period, probably, I don't know, early college years when I'm 17, 18, where I really liked comedies and wanted to go back and watch old comedies that people think are classics and legends and all that stuff. And what I found out is, and this could be just me, old comedy is a product of its time and a product of its environment, and does not necessarily translate to later generations. So like last week when we come on here talking about Major League, a lot of it is because we put ourselves in the moment of seeing Major League in the time. When I first saw Slapshot and I heard all this good stuff, oh, it's hilarious, you're gonna love it. And I watched this movie, I go, I'm not fucking laughing at all. Like, what the fuck is there even to laugh about? These fucking goofy ass Hanson brothers that I've been hearing about for fucking decades and are in the movie for about 4.5 minutes.
Oh, yeah. They're the Hansons, yeah. Oh, yeah.
They sit on the fucking bed and play with their RC fucking cars. Like, that's it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, 10-2. We got this one. Let's go again.
I was like, I just talked about this. I did the Major Pod bonus episode about The Princess Bride. And by the time I saw The Princess Bride, I was in the 30s and I was doing it to impress a girl. And I had always heard the Andre the Giant line before that. Anybody want a peanut? For years. It's like, and then when I watched the movie for the first time and I hear the line, I go, wait a minute, that's it? That's what it's such a fucking throwaway line at the end of the scene as they're getting ready to hit the fucking scrub to bring you into the next thing. And it's like, that's it. That's the whole, this is the line that lives forever. Like, that's it.
That's it, baby. The things people latch on to.
And that's how I feel about this movie. When it's over, I sit here and go, that's it. Paul Newman's a piece of shit. His ex-wife can't stand him. He keeps trying to hit on his teammate's fucking estranged wife. Are they still together? Are they not still together? He's constantly trying to bang her. He's got these guys going out playing not even fucking hockey. But I guess for the 70s, right, hockey was the brutality of the sport, when men were men and shit.
Yes.
So I guess that makes sense. But by the end of it, I go, where's the fucking funny? Like, I'm just supposed to laugh because they throw the gloves every 2 seconds and start another fight? To me, the funniest part is the opening scene where the goalie is on the talk show and he explains the penalties.
Yeah, and he said, and then we do this, and it's good.
And then you go to box and spend 2 minutes and you feel shame. Like, that to me is the funniest part of the movie. It's the opening scene. I spend the next 2 hours after the original 3 minutes going, what else you got for me? Because there's nothing else here.
Bro, you missed it, bro. He called the guy a dyke. Come on. Oh, shit. This is a very like this is like I don't want. I mean, I don't want to insult our people here. It's a very boomer comedy here. Like it is just like talk about like this is the movie your grandpa just can't get enough of. And I gotta tell you, the boy, there's nothing here, bro. What is so funny? Because they're cursing every time.
Now, at the time, the amount of cursing in this movie had people all up in a huff because it was so vulgar and all that.
Maybe that's it.
So maybe it's that. Oh, that's how people really talk. The way we looked at Superbad, where it's like, oh my god, like that's how people this age actually talk about shit.
Sure.
Maybe that's how people back then in 1977 viewed these personalities, because for me watching it now in 2024, it's not happening for me.
Not even close. I don't want to say I don't think it's like a terrible movie. I just don't think it's a funny movie. Like I'm into the story. Like okay, let's see what happened, but I'm not laughing throughout the movie like I'm supposed to be if this is a comedy, all-time comedy.
Yeah, it's not like a horrible watch. I'm into the story. Okay, the team may be going bankrupt. The guy's trying to feed information to try to drum up interest. But the way people regard this as almost like a Bible of hockey is just makes no sense to me.
But again, right? Think about the hockey movies. What hockey movies are there?
I mean, honestly, you got the Mighty Ducks, you got Miracle, the other two. Goon with Sean William Scott is a good one.
Movie now, yeah.
But it's significantly newer than everything else.
Because that's the thing. Is your grandpa watching Goon who loves Slapshot? Like you gotta like throw Goon in his face to be like, you gotta watch this movie. No, I think you'll really like this, you know what I mean? Like it's not easy to get there.
Mystery Alaska is another one, but also kind of a more serious tone.
So I mean, there's not a lot. I guess like when the pickings are slim, I guess, because, Mighty Ducks it's a kid's movie. So, you're not trying to watch the kid's movie. You're trying to watch an adult hockey movie.
Also, hockey has always been the sport that most felt like a niche.
Sure.
Baseball felt more globally accepted. Same thing with football and NBA on
Hockey's
a
always
national
number
level.
4.
Hockey is at best number 4. You could even sit here and argue with its competition with MLS at this point.
WNBA.
So if you're a hockey fan, that's the one thing I give hockey fans is you're always looking for someone to talk hockey with.
Sure.
So if you find someone who likes hockey, that becomes your friend at the office. Or if you find a new show about hockey, you end up listening to a podcast or following the movie or immediately going to see it, just because you don't have this overabundance of hockey content to really dive into.
I agree 100%. This is the pickings are slim, so I get it. It's up there for hockey movies, but to be number 1, boy, oh boy,
it says more about the state of hockey movies than anything else.
100%. And when we look at our vote here, Joe.
Now, let me first say, I didn't vote in this one.
Oh,
because I genuinely don't know which one to pick. I think I basically have both movies with the same grade here.
Oh, really? Okay. Interesting. I will say this, all our round 2 voting started close. Every matchup was close, and then some pulled away at the end. This is one of them. This was a close vote at first. The Slapshot people came out in full force, but Joe, no. It's not happening. Slapshot is not moving on. This is a Mighty Duck region, smashing them. It was close, and then the Mighty Ducks took over. And I agree. I'm not picking Slapshot. I'm not. I'm picking Mighty Ducks. I love Mighty Ducks. Maybe I would like Mighty Ducks 2 or 3 more. Doesn't matter. Between these two,
a lot of people say they like Mighty Ducks 2 more, which I didn't know that was a belief that people had up until recently.
I think, but I mean, I love all the Mighty Ducks. I never really they're all good times to me. I don't know. I guess maybe 2's better because you get the other goalie and you get like a little with the stuff,
The thing that 2 has in its favor is it's not an origin story. Like things are already established, so you're able just to jump into it.
Now let's move on to our next region here. Let's do the football region, Joe.
Okay.
This was Varsity Blues had moved on from the first round to take on the number 1 seed. Remember the Titans, baby. Ooh, baby. Tell me about Remember the Titans. What's this one
So
about?
this is a movie I'd never seen up until this
Ooh,
point.
exciting,
I've always
exciting.
heard a
Okay.
lot about it. Not one
Yeah,
of those things that like I was avoiding, just never
sure.
happened to cross my path. So this
Totally
is a
get it.
Disney movie. It's on Disney Plus, which is where I watched it. But this comes out in 2000, runs an hour and 53 minutes. And in 1971, Virginia high school football was everything to the people of Alexandria. But when the school board is forced to integrate an all black and an all white school, the very foundation of football's tradition was put to the test. So, my first question is it really football's tradition or is it just racism's tradition?
You make a good point.
I don't know. You let me know. Just putting it out there. It's a rhetorical question. IMDb gives this movie a 7.8, Rotten Tomatoes a 72% fresh, with an audience score of 93%.
Yeah, people love this movie, bro.
Budget of $30 million, domestically did 115 and a half, worldwide over 136 million, came in 14th domestically at the box office in 2000, right between Big Mama's House and The
Oh,
Patriot with Mel
Big
Gibson.
Mama's house.
And
Oh,
obviously,
baby.
we've done some 2000 movies lately, so we know The Grinch at the top of that list in big money.
That's right. That's right, the Grinch. So you hadn't seen this one. I've seen it. I remember liking it. It's one of those movies I saw, I guess, when it first came out around then. Don't remember if I went to the movies or DVD or something, but I did see it. I remember really liking it. Like, oh, it's a good story, good football movie. And it's something I haven't really watched in years and years and years. I haven't seen this movie in forever. But this one, I kind of remembered some bits and pieces. As the movie's going on, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. I remember this. And oh, yeah, oh, that's Sunshine. I remember Sunshine and stuff like that. So it starts coming back to me. So yeah.
So my initial impressions of this movie is that it's very paint by numbers. It's exactly what you expect it to be. If I threw the parameters at you, I say, "Oh, all black football team, all white football team. Now you got to make them one football team," and it's everything that I think would play out in kind of stereotypical fashion. We have the camp where people start breaking down walls, and there's always like one guy or two guys on each side who, like they don't give a shit, and they're like always like the ones who are able to cross in through lanes and play on every side of the field or whatever. And then you get back to reality, and oh no, we're not accepting this. We get Kate Bosworth as the main guy's girlfriend here, who won't shake his black friend's hand now, after they became tight at camp. And it's just very the black coach has to win over the white players, but the white town doesn't want this guy in the neighborhood, and they throw a brick through his window. And what I find interesting too, and to segue for a second, in the movie they throw a brick through his window, right? And that seems apropos for the time. We've heard plenty of stories about similar things. In real life, it wasn't a brick that got thrown through Mr. Herman Boone's house window. It was actually a used toilet.
Holy, that's a fucking throw, bro.
It was an old toilet bowl that people threw through the fucking window of this guy's house. And the producers looked at this and said, we can't put a fucking toilet bowl because everyone will just start laughing and we'll lose the seriousness of the moment.
I get it. It is
100%.
Random.
It makes
like, did they throw a fucking toilet? Like, yes, 100%. Oh man, yes, but listen, everything you're saying is true. If you gave AI the prompts to make a sports movie,
exactly,
this is the shit they're pumping out. 100%. Yes.
They're trying to hang on to that sentimentality. They're trying to hang on to your sense of humanity, right? Like just your part of you that makes you a human being and shows empathy toward other people. That's really what this movie is pulling on. Like, can you believe this was the world in 1971? Like, yes, I've read a history book. I know, like
That's all we hear about. It's terrible. We know.
I do think this is an entertaining movie. I think some of the performances are really good. I think for the majority of the kids that are highlighted in this movie, and none of them are really big stars, but we do get like Donald Faison becomes a big star on Scrubs in the years that follow. And he was, obviously one of the guys from Clueless. So he's kind of has a name going on there. Ryan Gosling is a small part in here, is like the football, the white cornerback who can't keep up. So they got to pull him out of the game. Who else do we got here? Hayden Panettiere is the little girl, the white coach's little girl at that point. Ethan Suplee is, the big white guy who becomes friends with the black guys.
Yes, right away. He's instant. What's up, everybody? It's a Sooner.
Yeah. So the performances are, everything about this movie is fine, but it's exactly what you expect. It really doesn't throw anything that makes you stop and go, oh no, well, how did that happen?
I agree. But I think what makes it stand out is those performances, because all these other football movies, they ain't got Denzel.
Correct.
They don't got Denzel being Denzel, and Denzel is just on top of his game in this movie. He is so fucking good in this movie. It's great. And I think that's what gives it an edge when you're comparing it to other football movies here.
Yeah, and I agree with that, because even the kids that they do decide to highlight all make the movie worth watching. Yes. It is Denzel, obviously, is the main role, and there's no mistaking that. But these kids that they're giving shine to, the kid who plays Sunshine, Ethan Suplee is kind of being the bridge between the ethnicities on the team. These people really make it work, and that's what keeps you invested in this film. And even the character of Jerry, who's like the captain of the white football team.
Yeah.
When he has his accident, I don't want to say it's like you didn't expect it. Like, you kind of felt like something had to happen.
Something had to happen. Yeah, it was. It did. I forgot for a minute. I said, oh shit, that's right. Something dramatic has to happen at the end to bring everyone together one more time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it makes the story around, because remember, the movie opens with all these people attending a funeral, and it's for this guy Jerry, and that brings it around the end, where now you get the story of like why these people are all connected in the first place,
telling the story.
And in real life, once again, like the brick didn't happen instead of the toilet bowl. Jerry Bertier's accident was actually after the season, and it wasn't because he wasn't paying attention and got hit by another car, lost control of his car. There was a mechanical problem, and he ended up running into a utility pole.
Oh, Jesus. That's even worse. Poor guy.
So I think this is a good movie. I definitely think it's a watchable movie. If you've never seen it before, like I said, it's filled with all the tropes you expect for this kind of like meaningful, trying to be uplifting type of movie. But I do think it's the performances that really separate it from the rest of the pack of similar themes.
I'm there with you. And looking at the votes, this was our closest vote of the entire tournament, Joe.
Okay, so which way did you vote?
I voted for Remember the Titans. As much as I love Varsity Blues, and I love Varsity Blues, if I had to pick what's a better football sports movie, I gotta go with Remember the Titans. I gotta go with that Denzel performance. It's a close one for me, but I went with the Titans here.
I did as well.
Oh, baby. And would you look at that? Because Remember the Titans has moved on to the Final Four by 2 votes.
Really?
2 votes, Joseph. It was insane. When I voted last night, there was a 1 vote difference. Remember the Titans got another vote last I checked, and wow, it's insane. I was so happy to see this. We had a tight one.
When I voted, Varsity Blues seemed ahead enough to where I thought it was going to hold on.
No, it was back and forth. It was exciting to watch. I was refreshing. I was like, oh, this is fun. Look at this, back and forth. This is what we've been waiting for. That sets up our first Final Four matchup there. We have Remember the Titans taking on our basketball winner. Baby. Hoosiers versus Remember the Titans. Boy, that's gonna be interesting. I don't know. People love their Hoosiers. They were very Hoosiers. That's another one. Well, it's just
Yep.
Hoosiers, bro. It's Hoosiers, you know.
Hoosiers and Slapshot, a lot of similarities for the way people talk about them and then the way both you and I feel about them. But there were
Yes.
people in our group very adamant about both of those movies.
Yes, 100%. So, well, it was close, but nope. That's that. Now we have one more Final Four matchup. Who's gonna go on to face the Mighty Ducks? Oh, is it gonna be Major League, or is it gonna be a league of their own? This is our double main man Joe's movie right here. This is his shit.
I say all the time, I don't think A League of Their Own is the best baseball movie. I think it's the best sports movie. There's so much about this movie that I think is absolutely incredible, and that's probably why you jerk-offs voted against it.
This one was not close, which I was not expecting. I expected this to be the closest one. I thought this was going to be our closest one because it would be what were you going for? Were you going for the silliness or the realism, that real, like, dramatic? I guess everyone wants
the difference
silly.
of playing a sports video game in arcade or simulation mode, right?
100%. Everyone just wants to put it on easy and have a good time. They don't want to deal with those politics of the sports.
Now, I watched this movie back. I've seen it 100 times, but I did watch it back. To me, it is a quintuple main man. It is a perfect movie start to finish for me, from the performances to the script to the way the baseball in the actual baseball in the movie looked. I think everything looks good, looks accurate. I like the fact that we're getting the period piece here and telling a story that you don't really never heard about.
Doesn't get told, yes.
Yeah, when this movie came out in 1992, I remember I got to see it in the movie theater. And obviously I want to see it because it's a baseball movie. Yeah. And at that time, Madonna is one of the biggest stars on the planet. Hanks wasn't quite Hanks at that point. No. He was a star, but he was
a star. Gina Davis
a pubic hair away from being a mega star because he was about to go and win back-to-back Oscars like the next year. So he's in that weird spot where he's a star, but I mean, he had been nominated before. He got nominated for Big in 1989.
Yeah, no, there's a difference. He didn't hit that level.
But this movie to me, and we did a full episode about this movie back in episode 43, if you guys want to go check that out. But this runs 2 hours, 8 minutes. IMDb gives it a 7.3. Rotten Tomatoes, 81% fresh. An audience score of 84%. This comes in number 7 domestically in 1992.
Crazy.
So it's right in between Basic Instinct, which was a huge movie at the time, and Aladdin at number 8. Wow. Now,
that's so crazy.
Let me qualify this by saying Aladdin is only that low because it doesn't come out until near the end of November of 1992.
Yes, that is true. That those movies come out at the end of the year. That's pretty crazy.
So in that last 6 weeks of the year, Aladdin made $99 million.
Jesus Christ, bro.
Number one movie in America for the year of 1992, GoeMeZ?
92. Batman Returns.
Batman Returns at $162.8 million.
Whoa, fuck yeah. I was like, is that 92? Oh, man, good. Awesome. Finally got one.
So, yeah, this is a movie I don't feel like we need to go deep into.
No.
But even watching it now, there's something about the sentimentality of this movie where it's not forced. Like, you genuinely do develop emotional attachments to the different characters in this movie. And by the time we get to the end, when we're going back from Dottie's memories as she's reliving her 1 year in the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League and now showing up at this Hall of Fame ceremony to see the display being put out, where you feel this attachment, and now you're seeing all of them reunite, and it is a very touching moment, even to when older Dottie meets older Stillwell Angel, and she goes, "Oh, where's your mom?" And he's like, "Well, she passed away a few years ago, and I felt like I owed it to her to be here." Like, of course, that's what's gonna, people die, people get old, things happen. Who even knows what happened? But it has this sense of realism about it. It doesn't, I just used the term Pollyanna-ish earlier in the show. I'm going to use it again. It doesn't try to treat these things as better than what it is. It puts up a very realistic view of things.
100%. This movie's fantastic. This is a great movie, and I agree with Joe. I think this is one of the best sports movies, period. It just so happens to be a baseball movie, but this movie is fantastic. You get a great ensemble cast that you care about all these characters. They all get their little moment to shine, and then you get your two heavy hitters. The sisters are just incredible in their performances. Laura Petty and Gina Davis are fantastic. And that ending is still just it's what an ending, bro. The did she drop the ball on purpose? Did she? I fucking love that. It is so good. Oh, this is a great movie, bro.
Yeah, no disagreements here. Preaching to the choir.
This is good, and it may surprise some people that when it came down to voting, I voted for this one, Joe. Believe it or not.
Did you?
I voted for this movie. Yes, I love this movie. I love Major League, and it's great, but just when you add emotion to something, it turns it up a notch, like Major League is fun, but to get that heartfelt and to get that, it adds a little bit more that you need to really.
Now, did you rewatch it for this?
I watched half of it. I didn't get to finish it, but I was watching half of it. I'm gonna finish watching, and I was just watching and going, I love this. Like just getting into it. I'm like, oh man, this movie is great. I'm just so I was right into it.
Because a lot of times, and this same thing happened for me with Major League too. It's been kind of a long time since I watched Major League, and I can still quote it. Like as things are happening, I'm almost like
100%.
Even playing on my phone, and I'm quoting the line Jake Taylor sang when he goes over to the new boyfriend's house thinking it was Lynn's place. He's like,
yes,
I play for the Indians. Oh, I hear baseball players make a lot of money. How about you? And he goes, I make the league minimum. It was almost like a reminder of how much I like this movie. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And that's how I felt rewatching A League of Their Own right now. I know I like it. I've seen it recently enough. I mean, we watched it for episode 43, so that's what, 2017 at this point. So that might be the last time I've seen this movie. Since then, we've had the Amazon Prime series come out, which was about 2 years ago, which I watched, but it was okay. I didn't love it. It was there, but it was a big reminder of why I love this movie and all the things about this movie that I love. I think this is absolutely sterling performances across the board, and not just from the main players too, but even Rosie O'Donnell, the other girls on the team. Marla Hooch in Charm School is an all-time great. Like how terrified she is of walking with the book on her head and not saying a word. But like when people talk about wrestling and they say, oh, you want to show the facial expressions, you have to sell. Marla Hooch is selling the fucking shit out of walking with that book.
She is. It is. It's all little things like that, little character moments where you get from every character that just really like, oh, this is great. Oh, she got her. It's great. Great movie.
Even, the girl Shirley Baker, who's very, very small role in the film, but she's in it. She can't read. And Madonna's character, May, is teaching her to read in the back of the bus. And it's like reading like some X-rated romance novel.
Magazines. Yeah. Great.
Like, May, what are you having her reading? She goes, shut up. She's reading, isn't she?
It's the truth. Whatever works, baby. I love it.
So, yeah, like I said, for me, this is a unicorn. This is a quintuple main man, probably one of my favorite movies of all time. And I still think, regardless of the voting, to me, this is the best sports movie that I've ever seen.
Yep, I'm there with you. I gave it, I think, a 4.5 last time we did this episode. It's great. And sadly, it will not be moving on. Major League put the kibosh on that one. It's understandable. I get it. I know everyone loves their Major League. I do. I love it too. So, all right. But so we got a Major League and Mighty Ducks on that thing here. Boy, this is going to be interesting. I don't know. I'm really interested to see how that one turns out. Major League versus Mighty Ducks. Which one is it gonna be? I don't know, folks. I don't know. You'll have a chance to vote on all these in our Facebook group. Just search Call JoeMeZ Pod on there. You'll find our fan group and you can vote. It's a lot of fun. People, they put in their comments. We go back and forth. I think you have a good time there. Come on in, folks. Come on in.
And Gomez, just when you think we were done, we give you the oop-de-oop.
What? What are you talking about, bro? I'm ready to hit the big finish music here. What are we doing?
You can't do that because there was a movie that got released this week that I swore I wouldn't see.
Oh, folks, are you talking about what I think you're talking? Hold on a minute here. Hold on a minute. Are you talking about a sequel to a movie?
To a reboot?
That was a sequel to another sequel of a sequel. Is this what you're talking about? Are there ghosts in this movie, Joseph?
Lesbian ghosts, I think.
You know, when you mention it, yes, I do think there are lesbian ghosts in this movie. Folks, come on. How could we go an episode where we don't talk about Ghostbusters Afterlife hitting theaters this week? Come on,
no,
baby.
It didn't.
What?
Ghostbusters Afterlife came out a couple years ago.
Oh,
and is one of the worst movies ever made.
I'm so sorry. This is called Frozen Empire. My bad. Yes, this is the sequel to Joe's favorite Ghostbuster movie, Afterlife. Oh, boy. I can't wait to go back into this world, Joe. What happens in this movie? What are the Ghostbusters doing in this one?
So, IMDb says when the discovery of an ancient artifact unleashes an evil force, Ghostbusters, new and old, must join forces to protect their home and save the world from a second ice age.
Interesting.
Now, a lot of people say that this movie is very reminiscent of a live action episode of the real Ghostbuster animated series. So for people who are fans of that, and I liked it as a kid, it was not like my number one thing, but I definitely watched it. It's more my brother's thing. So we had the toys. A fucking awesome toy line. Those toys were really, really cool. To this day, the Firehouse playset is one of like the most beloved items from people's childhood of the late 80s and 90s. IMDb gives this a 6.6.
Interesting. Okay.
Rotten Tomatoes, a 42%.
Okay.
With an audience score
70.
of 85%, which just goes to tell you how many morons are out there in the world today.
Damn. All right. That was a little higher than I expected there in the audience.
A little.
I said 70. I figured in the 70s. People love their Ghostbusters.
So let's get this out of the way. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire comes in number one at the box office. It's the big release this week. So that's not too surprising. It does make $45.2 million, which is a smidge above what Ghostbusters Afterlife made in its opening weekend, which was $44 million. So a little over an extra $1 million for Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. But you know what? Neither one of those movies beat, Gomez.
What? What did they not be? It's number one.
Ghostbusters Answer the Call, which on its opening weekend made $46 million. So a movie that was so terrible that you all hated.
It doesn't count. It doesn't count.
To be scrubbed from existence, grossed more in its opening weekend than either one of these shitty ass sequels that you people are trying to convince yourselves that you love made. How dare you? How dare you?
It's a very interesting statistic there, Joseph. That is very interesting. What's going on here, folks? The Lady Ghostbusters is supposed to be the worst thing that ever happened here.
I am the Sandshrew of statistics, and I drop them here for everybody.
Love it. Yeah, so Ghostbusters Afterlife. Joe's been going for the past, 6 months saying he's not going to see this movie. Fuck this movie. Why would I see this? I didn't like the first one. And I agree. I was there with him. I didn't really like that first one. But, these trailers, I didn't think these trailers were so bad. I was kind of like, okay, this doesn't look so bad. I'm kind of interested to see what happens.
So when they started having the premieres about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, you were getting some, oh, it was pretty good. Oh, I kind of liked it. And I'm like, oh, okay, but that's a premiere. That's not a
Yes.
screener.
Yeah.
Then people started doing screeners. And real people were starting to review these movies. And the reviews were so terrible. At some point, people were even comparing it to Madam Web. Which,
Yes.
how fucking bad do you have to be compared to Madam Web? I actually think Afterlife is very comparable to Madam Web. But I'll tell you right up front, this, I don't think so.
No,
I
it's
think
definitely-
comparing this movie to Madam Web would be what we on the streets call hyperbole.
Yes. It's a
An
little,
obviously extravagant statement.
yes, used to kind of entice you to maybe check it out, because there's no way. Listen, I'm not gonna sit here and say this movie is great, but Madam Web, folks,
Madam
is
Web is
just
fucking
the
bad.
worst. It is so fucking bad. So when you tell me something's bad like that, like, come on, don't do that.
Listen, I watched Madam Web about 2 weeks ago after hearing how bad it was, and it was still worse than I had even heard. It is top to bottom. Bad script, bad directing, bad performances, bad everything. Like, I don't know how any group of people can come together and decide that any singular part of that is worthwhile to put out in a movie theater. This is not that. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire is not Madam Web bad.
But is it bad, Joseph?
Yes.
Mm.
Yes, absolutely.
So I'll say I was kind of bored. I was very bored with the movie. I was just kind of sitting there. I was just like, I was expecting a little more action, a little more something. Motherfuckers don't get frozen until like 30 minutes left in the movie. Like, nothing really is going on. I'm watching this little girl talk to a ghost for a little bit,
in some creepy circumstances. Now, the
Yes.
girl Phoebe in this movie is supposed to be 15 years old. The ghost Melody, who becomes her friend and is the one trying to bamboozle her, right, into
Yes.
opening up Garaka's prison to let out the big ghost monster. She's permanently 16 because that's when she died. So she stays 16 forever in ghost form. And I understand Phoebe is now in a new town where she has no friends, but she didn't have any friends back in Oklahoma either. She just has her family. And now we're taking the one smart person in this family who understands how Ghostbuster technology actually works, and we're kicking her off the team because of Mayor Walter Peck here is like, kids can't bust ghosts, and which is probably a good point when it comes to child labor laws and
Makes
such.
sense to me. I get it.
And actually, I'm going to give this movie credit because in one of the early scenes, as they're driving around the streets of New York, just firing proton packs at everything and causing a bunch of damage, they actually get called into the mayor's office. And he's like, hey, you guys got to pay for this. Like, you can't just run around damaging the fucking city. And I'm like, finally, after all these years of superhero movies, like when they did that Superman Man of Steel movie, and he comes and just destroys half the world and a Walmart and stuff. And it's just like, my man, Superman, like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, people live here.
Don't body slam that guy through the building. Fuck him up over there. Oh, it's too funny.
Like, you got nothing but cornfields in Kansas. Take him out there, dude. Like,
it's so annoying though, because DC took that feedback, and so they course corrected to where now every battle is in the middle of a desert.
Middle of a desert. Yeah,
it's like, bro, we didn't say that. Just don't be willy-nilly. Like, what? Come on, bro. Fucking stupid.
But I think that's a point in the favor of this movie for actually acknowledging, like, yeah, like, don't destroy the town, like that's probably a bad thing. So I'm like, fucking thank you. Like, someone gets it, And
what's New York doing now? This guy is still the mayor 40 years later. What's happening?
He wasn't the mayor back then.
But when did he become the mayor? That's
we don't
40
know.
years, bro.
Yeah, but maybe he was just what was he, the EPA guy or something back in the
Yeah,
original movie.
that's what I'm saying.
So
He's working his way
he
up. Like
worked his way up the political food chain.
that was a long time ago, my man. Damn.
And see, this is one of the instances where I say the nostalgia and the fan service works because
Sure.
we know Walter Peck. If you're a fan of the original Ghostbusters, obviously, like you recognize William Atherton as that character,
100%.
and they do it in a way like when he turns the chair around, you're like, I fucking knew it. It's Walter Peck. Like that's great. That's a good way to do fan service. It's not taking anything away from the story. It's not becoming the story itself. It's just a little thing where if
Small
you're an
part.
old-timey Ghostbusters fan, you get it, you enjoy it. It makes the story a little better for you. And if you're not, if this is your first Ghostbusters movie, or maybe Afterlife was your first Ghostbusters movie, you don't fucking care. It's just the fucking mayor. And you take it and you move on with the rest of your story. That's a good way to do it.
100%. It is. That is exactly. That's what we asked for. Do it. If you get it, you get it. If not, he's just a man. Don't matter. Don't mean shit.
Now, when it comes to this new family, I got issues. I
What's
hated
wrong?
them in the first Afterlife, in that first movie. And right now, Callie Spengler is still the worst mother who has ever mothered.
Not great. Not
Horrible
great
mother.
job. What are we doing?
Like literally knows nothing about her kids. She has this husband, boyfriend. We don't even know what they are, but we get this forced sentimentality about being a stepdad when it's not even explained to us if they are married, if they're not married, just that he needs to be more forceful with the kids in a father figure type role. And it doesn't work. It doesn't mean anything to the story. The relationship, even they seem like buddies rather
There's
than
no affection.
there's no romantic connection between them whatsoever.
100%. There's no way. If you told me they were just brother sister, I'm like, okay, yeah, they're just brother sister. There's nothing that you would think that they're together. 100%.
No chemistry, even. Like it's not like they pop off the screen when they're in sharing the scenes together. Absolutely nothing. Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things.
Oh, what's wrong with that boy?
Why is he even in this fucking movie? Why is he even fucking in it?
He signed the contract and he has to be in it.
Yeah, come collect your 3.5 minutes of screen time, Finn Wolfhard. Happy to have you. What a fucking waste. Just so we can say Slimer is here.
So we can have fun with Slimer, yes.
That is fan service done the wrong way. You could legitimately remove those entire scenes.
Yes.
And not miss. Yeah, he does one thing at the end where I guess, okay, yeah, we showed it a couple times where he runs through the. You know what? Who gives a fuck? You could have shown that at the very end, and people still would have popped because it's Slimer, right? The green ghost is back. Doesn't matter that we had to build it up, that he's been living in the attic feeding off fucking Nestle Crunch bars for the past 40 years.
Speaking of Slimer, Joe, I went to the movies. I got the Slimer Icy, bro. Ooh, we talked about this. I was very excited to try this.
There was a rumor that it was going to be Ecto Cooler flavored because on the cups it was saying made with Coca-Cola products. High C is owned by Coca-Cola, so everybody was hypothesizing that we were going to get Ecto Cooler flavor here. JoeMeZ, I did not get to have it. Let me know, is it in fact Ecto Cooler flavored?
No, it is not. Not at all. I saw people say green apple. It's not green apple. It's lemon lime. It's lemon Slimer. That's the brand. That's the thing. And it was fine, but it tasted like any old icy I get. It was disappointing.
But when you get your hopes up thinking you're gonna get Ecto Cooler.
Yes, it's green. Oh my god, here we go. And it was like, all right. It was nice to have an icy, but they just bamboozled us, Joe. We thought we were getting a good movie. We thought we were getting Ecto Cooler, icy. Lies, all lies, bro.
I didn't get any of the Ghostbuster snacks or anything. We had a Regal, so I don't even think we got any of the exclusive merch, popcorn bucket or anything. I didn't see anything being displayed. Everything I've seen is for AMC
Other
or
stuff.
Alamo Draft House or whatever. About this movie, though, Gomez, Winston Zedmore, and this is something positive. I'm going to say a nice thing about this movie. Winston Zedmore gets a terrific story arc here. And it almost is like after 40 years, we finally gave justice for Winston. Not just Winston, but the actor Ernie Hudson himself. Because he's been thought of as like this token black character for decades now. And that's basically, he was so popular from Ghostbusters that he was typecast as Winston. He couldn't even do anything else. Even when it came down to the animated series and wanted to voice the Winston character in the animated series, he lost out on that part to Arsenio Hall.
It's hysterical, bro. It's fucking hysterical.
Like, oh, you're not Winston enough. Brother, I am Winston. And like, they wouldn't even give him that. And he's basically had to live off Comic-Con appearances for 4 decades. And here he finally gets like a good chunk of story because he had a real story in the original Ghostbusters. And then they kind of just, snipped here, changed some things here. And all of a sudden he's just some guy who says, listen, man, you give me a regular check and I'll believe whatever you want me to.
Yes, it's true.
So I feel like we got some justice for the character of Winston here. And that actually, warmed my heart a little bit, my cold, frozen, empired heart. It warmed it a little bit because we had some nice Winston moments here. And of course, they hit us with the nostalgia at the beginning with the little toy commercials and stuff on the news. That's fun, right? We love that stuff.
We love that stuff. I'll say something positive about the movie. I thought Kumail was great. I thought he was a great addition. He added some humor because like this is like Ghostbusters supposed to be a funny movie. Like, can we get some kind of comedy in this movie? He's like the only one who's bringing some comic energy to this movie here.
But at the completely wrong times. Like, I understand the original Ghostbusters is classified as a comedy, and there are quite a few moments where you laugh and you chuckle. This does not have any of that. And yet when Kumail is here in the character of Nadeem, and he's the twisted fire starter, and he lives in the sewer or something. Who knows?
Love it.
But for all his scenes, I'm just like, is this really calling for this level of levity right now? Like, does it?
That's what I want, though. That's what I want in my Ghostbuster movie.
But it's such a departure from where the tone of the rest of the movie is that it feels shoehorned in. And it's the orange peg in the square hole. You know what I mean? It feels like it doesn't fit. And when we get to that final boss fight at the end in the firehouse, which I'm going to have another comment on in a second. But when we get to that point and they're already in the middle of battle, and then Kumail starts doing like comedy with his lighter, and it's just like, now of all the fucking times, now we're gonna do this. We're gonna do the haha now.
I get it. Tell me about that final boss battle, Joe.
I got a question for you, Gomez. In this firehouse, how many fire poles are in it?
That's easy. You don't remember? There's 42.
Because when we come in, this girl Phoebe, who's, remember, the only one who knows Ghostbusters technology, she decides, it'd be good if I dip all my Ghostbuster proton pack components in brass. That way it protects them against this Garaka who can only be contained in the glass orb here that Star-Lord was looking for at the beginning of the first Guardians of the Galaxy. So we're going to put Garaka back in there, but I need to have my proton pack coated in brass. So she cuts a piece of the fire pole, melts it down, and yet later when we come back into the main firehouse setting, all of a sudden it seems to be like 4 different poles there, and I'm just like, wait a minute. These all have not been there from Jump Street. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. There is no way in hell there were 4 fucking fire poles at any point in the last 40 years in this fucking firehouse. And to put like the ribbon on it, we get like the homage in the final scene where the mayor comes down to the firehouse and he gets like forced into supporting the Ghostbusters, even though he fucking hates it. And I'll get you sometime, Ghostbusters. And we get, once again, the forced sentimentality where there has been absolutely no conversation about Paul Rudd's character, who is completely useless in this. Like, remember, he's supposed to be the science teacher in the last one.
Yes, he is.
And
He's the
here
teacher,
he's just like the goofy dunce of a fucking wannabe stepdad wearing a fucking, it's like Dante in the Clerks cartoon. I'm Paul Rudd and I'm the biggest idiot ever. It's like there's no use, there's no, like, how are they booking this shit this way? You have Paul Rudd in this movie and this is what you fucking do with him. And then we get the scene at the end where Phoebe comes over and she's like, oh, okay, thanks, Dad. And he's like,
I
oh,
know.
she called me. Like, no one was asking for this. There was no build up to this. There was no tension between them.
Build up ever for her to call this dude Dad. They don't share a moment. They share a moment when she's not even in the room.
She's not even there.
And it's like that moment is not earned at all, bro. It's not. It's just
like, and that's supposed to be the big tug at the heartstrings moment, right? She finally opened up to having this guy. She was the one who brought him in because he was the one teacher she liked in the first place. He was the one person she felt that understood her on the level of science, because her mother is a fucking idiot, her brother is a fucking idiot, and she doesn't have any other fucking friends because somehow we let this idiot podcast move across the country and not even live with the people he knows. He lives with the fucking weird radio guy who was a Ghostbuster 40 years ago. So she doesn't even have that friend anymore. It certainly seems like she barely ever talks to him. Maybe she visits once in a while. She goes over to the store and says, hey, what are you doing in this fucking basement? She even had to ask why he was living in the fucking basement.
Why he was there. Yeah, it's like, what are you, like, she was like, what are you doing here? Oh, baby, what a picture, Joe. What a picture. I think I'm gonna hit some music here, baby.
Let's do it.
Are you a man? A double main man? Are you a man? A triple main man? A man? A quadruple main man? Are you our man? Are you our man?
All right, Joe. It's main man standing times. Where does Ghostbusters Frozen Empire fall on your main man standings, baby?
The best thing that I can say about Ghostbusters Frozen Empire is that it's better than Ghostbusters Afterlife.
That's good.
Which is a very low bar to clear. I mean, this is basically the equivalent of saying, gee, Captain Joe Shoes, would you prefer to be punched in the face or kicked in the balls? In this situation, I prefer to be punched in the face.
Just this time.
It's definitely better than Afterlife. It's certainly better than Madam Web. But it's not good. This is not a good, from storytelling. I mean, if you're a fan of the animated series and you feel like this pulled on the animated series tropes to give you that kind of monster of the week kind of feel, okay, but I still have absolutely no reason to have an emotional investment in any single one of these characters. And you would think that the one character who is built up to be the smart one and to understand the Ghostbusters and to understand the supernatural, Phoebe, the one who gets it, right? You would think she wouldn't be so easy to trick with a fucking ghost. I can see that she's not intimidated by playing chess with the ghost, but maybe don't say, oh, hey, here's the trap. You want me to open it up and free all these fucking ghosts for you? Maybe she's a fucking moron too, and the whole Spengler family should be cast out onto a fucking island where they can't do any more harm to the rest of the world. This movie is still a lot better than Afterlife. I will give it a single main man.
It's better. It's a better 1 star. Yeah, I think I'm gonna give it a 2. Like I didn't hate it, but I was like I said, I was kind of bored. Like I didn't really care about her and this ghost. I didn't care about this dude in Slimer. You know, the little podcast boy hanging out with the old man. Like I guess, like it just there was a lot that I just didn't care about, but I didn't hate anything at the same time. Like I said, I enjoyed the little comic relief they try to throw in there because I do like a little comedy with my
Because it
Ghostbusters
stopped you from
movie.
being bored. It's not because you enjoyed it. It just broke up the monotony.
Because it seemed like someone was trying something. Someone was trying to have a good time. Someone was trying to make a fun movie. Like it was good. It's just a different energy. I was just like, okay, let's go. Let's have some fun. But yeah, two stars, not great. You know, if they make a third one, I don't know. That trailer's got to be really banging, or it's got to be some great idea for me to run to the theaters. I think I'm kind of done with Ghostbusters.
I mean, they've had 2 shots at the apple here, and they have made me absolutely not care whatsoever about any of these characters that they introduced.
Yeah, I agree. It's not really not feeling it. Hey, we gave it a shot. We gave it a shot.
I will say this. I think the reason I do grade it this high, 1 star,
This high. I fucking love it this high.
is because at least they got into it, right? Oh, we're Ghostbusters now. You don't have to introduce these people to me. You should be able to just to go. But the relationships, like we said, there's no romance in that Callie and Gary relationship at all.
No.
You know, the relationship with the kids, you know, he goes to get his mom and be like, hey, this thing is going on up here. And she's like, you know, I'm not getting off the couch. Fucking, it's
You're
like
an adult.
she's fucking drunk on the couch. It feels like a Peggy Bundy moment.
She wishes. Oh, there you have it, folks. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. We ain't a fan, but we gave it a shot. That's all we could do. Give it a shot.
And even with the effects in this movie, there's nothing about it that says this is, you know, when people say, oh, I want to go to the movies just to see the stuff that'll be enhanced by a big movie screen and such. This is not the movie that needs that. Do not go to the movies. Do not waste your money on this bullshit.
But folks, do waste your money at the movies this week because baby, we got a Godzilla movie coming out this week.
We do have a Godzilla movie coming out this week.
We got a Godzilla King Kong movie coming out this week, baby. Oh, yes. Folks, are you excited? Because I'm excited. We get the sequel to Godzilla versus King Kong. This is just Godzilla X Kong. I don't know how you're supposed to say that. You're supposed to say X Kong? You're supposed to say Godzilla and Kong?
I think it's multiplied by Kong.
Oh, shit.
Godzilla multiplied by Kong. Godzilla times Kong.
Godzilla times Kong equals new
Box
empire.
office.
Whoa, folks. I'm so excited to see.
Is New Empire
movie.
the actual subtitle here?
Yes, it is. Godzilla Kong New Empire.
Maybe it is.
The name of the movie.
Equals New Empire.
This movie, I don't know much about it, except instead of fighting like a Godzilla bad guy, we're going to fight like a King Kong bad guy. It's like another giant ape or some shit like this. Oh, baby, I am excited. Are you excited, Joe?
I really enjoyed the last Godzilla Kong movie.
You did.
I think it was in my top 3 or something for the year.
Yeah, it was.
So,
yes, sir.
I mean, I never feel like I need to run to a Godzilla or a King Kong movie because it's never in my, like, you know, it's not like my kind of interest the way it is for JoeMeZ and for other people who love these big monster movies. But because of how much I enjoyed that last one, I mean, that last Godzilla King Kong fight was so good. So I am kind of jonesed up a little bit to go see this movie.
Ooh, baby. Now, this is not for you. This is for me. I'm planning on going to the movies 2 times. On Thursday, I'm going to see this new King Kong movie here, Godzilla movie. And then I'm also going to see a new movie, Joe.
I knew it.
Another new
with
sequel.
Sydney Sweeney.
I will be seeing that tomorrow. I'm off of work this week. I have plans to go to the movie every day. I saw Ghostbusters this morning. I'm gonna see Immaculate tomorrow. That's a non-exploitation horror movie with Sydney
So,
Sweeney. Can't
This
wait.
is, I don't know if you've been following the news cycle about Immaculate,
No, what's
but
going on?
Sydney Sweeney has become like the hero for a lot of like kind of like old school right wing people because she's a blonde with big boobs. Like, oh, she's bringing back that blonde big boob personality that we really missed. And now because she's doing this demonic anti-Catholic nun movie,
Oh,
they've all
no.
turned on her. And they're
I
like,
love
see,
it.
Hollywood couldn't take that she was becoming a symbol for people like us. So they forced her into this role.
Oh, so funny. So I will be seeing that, but no, the movie I'm talking about is a sequel to a movie that came out 2 years ago. Joe, I'm talking about Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2. Oh, baby. Winnie the Pooh is back and he's brought some friends with him, bro.
Oh,
We
great.
get Tigger, we get the owl. Oh, baby. Woo! I'm excited, but you don't got to see that, Joe. You don't gotta
I've still never seen the first one.
It's not very good. It's not very good. Not very good, Joe. So that's fun. We got some fun for next week.
Hey, we got a Godzilla versus Kong movie, and then we got our final four. So we got Major League versus the Mighty Ducks. Catch up if you haven't been watching along with us. That's a nice opportunity now. We've kind of weeded it down. You get one movie from each sport. Major League from baseball, Mighty Ducks from hockey, going mano a mano. And of course, in the basketball region, we have Hoosiers against football's Remember the Titans. So a nice time to be able to catch up on some movies.
Oh, yeah, baby. But that's next week, Joe. That's next week. We got to finish this one, I think.
We should do that.
Let's do it. It's now time for the big finish. All right, Joe, it's big finish time. I got the regular big finish wheel here because we spent enough time on this episode. So let's spin this shit and get the fuck out of here.
All right.
Let's go. Round and round we go. Oh, here we go. Look at this. Today's big finish, Joe. iPhone app games. What games you be playing on your phone?
Oh, God.
Maybe you're going to help some people out here. I don't know. What are we playing? Let's see here. Here we go.
It's pretty difficult. I don't really play a lot of games on my phone. I like to have one game on my phone in case I get bored at some point.
Sure.
So it's usually like a puzzle game. You know, it's not
Yeah, okay.
anything I'll have like a Candy Crush when that was popular until I get sick of it, and then I'll delete it and download another puzzle game. So
Yeah, that's the same thing, but it's not candy. It's something else.
Yeah, it's exactly the same.
Now
So
it's
I played
cookies.
Toon Blast for a long time.
Yes.
And then I got rid of that one, and now I play like, what is it, Royal Blast or Royal?
Yeah, Royal something. Yeah, Royal Match. I think.
Royal Match, which is
The
literally the
Help
exact
me.
same.
Help me.
The same game.
Okay.
One game that I did like was Temple Run.
Temple Run was my shit, bro. They got those at like Dave and Buster's now. You can play Temple Run on the big screen.
Really?
Yeah, it's fucking fun, bro. Dave and Buster's is the best.
You know, I played Angry Birds for a little bit, but I was never really feeling that. I will say my number one all-time Apple iPhone game, Pokemon Go.
Bro, that's not
When
bad
that was
choice.
out, like I was in New Orleans when that game first hit, and everyone was playing it right away. And I'm walking down Bourbon Street finding tons of fucking Pokemon.
Oh, yeah.
It was great. And I'm walking so much because I'm drunk and just don't want to stop that all my eggs are hatching nonstop too. I was getting so many steps in.
That's funny. Yeah, I was visiting our friend in Denver, Colorado when that game came out. And we were just seeing the sights and we gotta see if there's any cool Pokemon. Now I'm so far away from home, there might be a Pokemon I don't get. Oh, the best. Right now I'm playing, let's see, I'm playing Match Factory. There's many games that are like this. This is just the one I picked where it's a board with a whole bunch of shits on it, and you gotta find, the ducks, and you gotta find it's like an I Spy kind of thing.
Mhm.
Shit like that. I like these idle games where you do something and then it like collects money for you as you like do other stuff. So right now I've done like a weed game. Right now I'm doing beer. Where I make like beers, and it just you build it, and it creates your money, and then you get money, and you add another factory, shit like that.
You know what game I hated?
What
Monopoly
game?
Go.
Terrible.
Because you don't do anything. There's no
No,
skill. There's no nothing. There's
no.
nothing to this game. It was I downloaded it. I kept it maybe 2 days. I was like, no, this is awful.
I played Disney Getaway Blast or some shit like that, where it's basically Candy Crush, all that shit, except it's like little Disney characters. So it's a little cute game. They do special things every month, and you can unlock like, oh, it was the year they rabbit, so I had to do a thing to get Judy Hopps unlocked and shit like that. So it's fun stuff. I love
yeah.
a good app game. A good app game is fun. I have way too many. I have like 7 pages of apps. Half of them aren't even on my thing, and I have to touch it to re-download it. But I just can't get rid of it because you never know when you want to
Oh
play.
no, I kind of limit myself to only 1 page, and they all have to be categorized into folders.
Oh my god, I do folders, but I got things all over.
No, it
Oh.
drives me nuts. That's what, like, one of the things that I'm OCD about is my iPhone apps.
Oh my god, I do. Next time I get an iPhone, whenever I update this year, get a new iPhone, I'm going to set it up as a new phone. I don't want none of the apps. I don't want
Oh,
none of the
no.
pictures.
No,
I don't want nothing. I want to
I
start fresh.
I just did an entire purge on my photos
Yeah,
and moved a lot of stuff over to a hard drive, get
yeah.
it off my phone, and really cleared a lot of space. But now I'm always in that mindset, like for social media purposes, like I have to be out there. I should be posting more. It's part of the, you want to be a content creator, fucking nonsense shit. So now I'll be like, oh, you know what? I got a good picture with a Disney character, or oh, there's a picture from this wrestling show that I would have, and I would remember like in a semi good time period, like what it should be around in my timeline of my photos. And now I go to look for it and I can't fucking find it. So now I gotta fucking go into the hard drive, fucking find the photo. Or did I ever post it on Instagram before? Did I upload it to Facebook or something where I can just go and take a screenshot of it or re-download it from somewhere else rather than having to wait until I get home, plug in my external hard? Like, oh my God, horrible.
It's a lot of work, bro. It's a lot of work.
Just give me more memory. I'll pay for it.
Hit him with them plugs. Let's get the hell out of here, Joe.
Guys, this was a really long episode. Thanks for hanging with us as long as you did. Please remember to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, wherever it is that you're listening to this podcast. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please consider leaving us a 5-star review. It means a lot to us. Trust me, and we do put in a lot of work for this show every single week for a long time now. So if you could consider doing that, it would be greatly appreciated. Please follow us on all social media at JoeMeZ, and join our Facebook group, which is free. Come hang out, talk about what we're doing, what we're watching, things we're eating. Just search JoeMeZ Podcast on Facebook. It comes right up. And of course, if you're watching this, the video version is free every week on YouTube at youtube.com/@JoeMeZPod. You can find me everywhere on social media at the Joe Shoes. Of course, youtube.com/Joe Shoes for all my food review videos. This week, we have the pulled pork menu from Sonic, which came out Monday, 3 separate items, all in one video. And just on Wednesday would have come out the Crazy Puffs from Little Caesars.
Oh shit.
And
Can't
that's in
wait.
addition to the Orange Dreamsicle Frosty review video that came out last Friday, the day after last week's podcast came out. And we already have a video planned for this Friday too. So please hit the subscribe button, check out those videos, help support any way you can.
I'm the Gomez154, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, all that fun stuff. Folks, it's almost time for Smith. WrestleMania is a week away, guys. And in between WrestleMania night 1 and 2, you come on to twitch.tv/Mez Movie and you join us for Sweaty Men in Tights, about 19 hours of continuous non-stop wrestling action, interviews, matches, anything you could think of. We're going to be watching. And it's a good time. Trust me, folks. You don't want to miss this one.
And GoMeZ will have a little schedule for
Yes.
themes and stuff as we get closer to that. So stay tuned. Like I said, follow on social media so you don't miss out that news. Back next week, Godzilla multiplied by Kong equals New Empire is hitting theaters. And of course, we're in the final 4 of our March Madness sports movie bracket. So we're going to hit those. But GoMeZ, with all that being said, why don't we make like Tom and Cruise?
Peace.